Welcome to CARDESIGN.ACADEMY. Today is the conclusion of the interior of my mid-engine electric sports car, which I have labeled a Corvette, next generation Corvette. I've also labeled it an Ioniq R, which is Hyundai's electric vehicle sub-brand. However, I think I'm going to continue calling it a Corvette. It just has that Corvette feel to it. It's very light, very agile, very pure. Kind of going back to the purity of the Corvettes of the 80s and 90s. However, entirely modern and futuristic at the same time. So we're going to be completing the interior today. And so the interior is really all about this driver's cockpit. In the last video, I developed this cockpit as also as a standalone racing simulator, as part of a virtual racing series in which drivers could compete at home virtually against drivers in the real car using the identical cockpit system. So there's a bunch of things I wanted to do today. Basically, I wanted to develop the passenger seat. Passenger is just sort of along for the ride. I'll just show you the passenger really quick. And then develop some of the other interior trim. So one of the things I'm going to do just to kind of speed things up is I'm going to be turning off some of the exterior, because we're now getting quite heavy with the model. I'm also going to be turning off the tires and turning off the cut lines. And the glass. I'll turn off the glass. So basically now we're just working to this outer tub here. So this will make it a bit easier to work with. However, we still have our exterior wireframe we can use as reference. We can also use our interior wireframe as reference. So as you can see, one of the elements I had in my original interior wireframe was this structural element that ran across the front end. So I want to develop that first. So I'm going to turn off the exterior wireframe. And so what I can do is I can go in and simply take the skin tool and just start skinning this periphery, the peripheral object here, these peripheral lines. So I'm going to go ahead and match the shader. And go ahead and select surface, and I'm going to do bridge curves, fill the curve, full curve, sorry, and just going to hit that. I'm going to convert it to sub D. I'm going to grab the center points and just delete those. Turn on mirroring. So I have that. Just for ease of understanding here, I'm going to be turning that into a different color. So anyway, just going to do a quick double check, make sure we're still recording. We are still recording. Great. And then I'm going to go ahead and dim the interior wireframe. I just want to have it as a reference, so I'm going to keep it really dim. I'm going to lock that layer. And I'm going to lock the cockpit. So all I have here is my passenger layer. And so I'm going to go ahead and build this out. So, and then the other thing I can do is, why don't I just go ahead and copy these. Let's turn on our mirror. Okay. Let's see, are we still locked? No, we are not. Okay. Oh yeah, we have to do this one because that's the master side. There we are. So again, convert it to sub D, delete the middle section. And then we'll do the same here. And then we're gonna merge these together. So delete this edge here. We're gonna grab our merge tool and hit this one, and then we can simply extrude from one to the next. This shape was actually made up of two curves. Join this at the center line. So I'm going to go ahead and lock the interior wireframe. Actually, I think we can just turn it off now. And we're going to, again, take our merge tool and just connect these objects together so I can start to connect them. This is going to be a fairly complicated shape. So we're going to go into polygonal view, and we're going to start to connect these shapes. I'm going to go ahead and simplify them a bit. That'll reduce the number of additional polys we need. Oh, we've got to join these together. Okay. So now I can start to connect these shapes together. Yeah, always try to create four-sided shapes whenever you can. Yeah, let's continue bridging these shapes. And then it's just about really aligning the polygons so everything kind of flows. There's no strange lumps and bumps. I'm going to turn off the tub layer for a second, just so I can get underneath. So the idea is that this structural element ties the shock towers together. I'm not gonna fill in the entire underside. Just this leading edge here. I'll turn the tub back on. So I'm going to do my first attempt here at smooth view, and you can see it's quite doughy. So just a matter of adding those additional edge loops. You can see how very quickly it gains a lot of structure. This will look really good when I start putting this in Oculus Rift with shadows and reflections. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the exterior again really quick. Let's see. Yeah, we're pretty well aligned. However, I do want to try and straighten this line out a little bit. I may have to adjust the tub as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is introduce some kind of a design element on the door panel area, which would support a ventilation system. So under interior wireframe, I turn this on a little bit. I'm going to delete some of these old elements here that I don't need anymore. Better lock my my other layers here. I'll leave the passenger seat in there, or at least some portion of it, just as a reference. So the reason why I wanted to activate this layer is I want to just sketch out what I might want that to look like. Again, I'm going to go back to human scale. And I'm just going to just sketch out this element which extends from the tub. Another thing I need to do is gain some awareness of the door position. So I'm going to turn on my cut lines layer, and I'm going to turn off my tub. I'm also going to turn off my cockpit. So you can see the cut line goes right into the wheel well. So just trying to imagine what the inner portion of that door panel would look like. So let's turn the tub back on and see where we're at here. Okay. We'll put a cleaner line in here later, but I'm just trying to understand where that cut line wants to be. Okay, so I'm going to leave the cockpit out for a little bit here, and that's going to give me some room to start sketching out the this door trim, these door elements. So I'm going to I turned off my cockpit, turning off my I'm turning the interior wireframe way down. Go back to my passenger layer. I'm going to use my orange shader here. Just creating a periphery edge for that, that vent hole. Now I can start adding some surface tension. I'm going to turn off my interior wireframe. And I'm going to give this thing a different material just so I can see it a little better. Now, what I'm trying to do is control this transition here. That's better. Okay, now I think I can bring back the orange. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I'm just going to put in a filler surface here. Okay, now for the trim. Try to get it as planar as possible. I want to get the leading edge a bit thinner, so I'm just going to add an additional edge and then just send that back. And then same thing out here. I'm going to add a lot of edge loops because I want this to look very chiseled and precise. Then there's going to be a floating blade inside. Here, let's bring that further back. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on my cut lines layer. And I'm going to turn on my, I'm actually going to go on into the cut lines layer. I'm going to add the interior door cut. And I'm going to bring this out as close as I can to the surface of the tub. And I'm just going to wrap a line over this shape here. I got to shrink this diameter a little bit though. So I'm trying to just get this line, these two lines working planar. So maybe reference plane is in order. And make that a different color. So I'm going to connect the touchdown of the A-pillar through to this corner here. You see how aligning cut lines to a plane really helps control those lines so that they look good from all angles. And you can see that tracks through really well. So I'm turn that wireframe back off. I'm actually wondering though, I should run the plane this way. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Anyway, so let's see what we have now. Let's start turning on some of our interior. So our cockpit. Yeah. And I'm thinking that I want to get some of these elements here aligned better with the door cut. And the same thing with this one. And I also want to get this aligned a little better, get some of the belly out of this top section. So now these track through really well, and then you can see a little bit of it peeking through the structure as well. That's kind of a neat effect. Okay, so I'm going to lock that again and adjust this cut line. There. Okay, so let's go ahead and develop our passenger seat. So there's two ways we can go about doing this. One is to simply duplicate the driver's seat or portions of the driver's seat over, and the other is to build something from scratch. So let's go ahead and start with duplicating parts of the seat. So I'm going to go ahead and lock the cut lines. I'm going to go into the cockpit, unlock that. I'm going to unlock the passenger layer. First thing I need to do is ungroup it. And let's see what happens if we just mirror it. Okay, we got a bake mirrored. Okay, now let's mirror it. However, I want to bake that, and I want to make that. I'm going to make that sort of blend into the cockpit. I want it to be clearly secondary. So we're going to do the same thing with this shape. Bake it. Mirror it again. Bake it again. Reassign the shader. And then finally, I'm going to grab this armrest here. I'm going to mirror that, bake it, and then I'm going to turn that dark as well. So I'm going to group all of these items together. And I'm even wondering whether we want to set this back just a bit. So what I'm doing now is I'm sort of tuning the shape to nestle up nicely against that driver's seat. It's clearly a secondary seat. I want this to really nestle up tight against that driver's seat. Trying to maintain a nice even gap through there. And then even the headrest. So I wanted to see if I can get the tub a little bit tighter to the backs of these seats. So I'm going to go into the tub layer. Yeah, one thing I wanted to do is get this back seat into the passenger layer. So now I can turn off the cockpit and I can see what I'm doing with the tub. And I'm just going to clean up this tub a little bit right here. Okay, and then one last thing I wanted to do, this is going to be really cool, is I'm going to show you how to map a texture onto a surface. So this is going to be a really cool effect. So I'm going to turn off my cut lines layer. So all I have now is the tub. Let's leave that down there and I'll just isolate the tub layer. Okay, so if you go into your prefabs, and I'm just going to go ahead and click through all my images here. I have some patterns which I've uploaded into my reference images. And you can actually map those patterns onto the surface. Let's go back. Okay, yeah, this is the one I wanted. So this is I wanted to do this sort of molded carbon or forged carbon look. So once you bring in the image, then you just go in to your color selector, color and material selector, and as you can see, that pattern is right there. And if I, so you can see it's now mapped onto the surface. And if I actually, I can make it reflective and I can darken it. Now I have a couple other versions of this I'm going to try. So for example, I've got this pattern here. I've got a smaller version of it. Let's try the smaller one. I think I like the random pattern better. I can make it reflective, and then I can darken it. So you can see it becomes this very subtle pattern, kind of like forged carbon. And I can grab these images and throw them into my sketch layer. So they remain in my file library. And then now I can start to bring back my cockpit. Oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, it's isolated. Okay, so I can bring back my cockpit, my passenger seat, my whole passenger area. And you can see now I have a pretty complete interior. If I turn on my headliner and my glass, see I have a fairly complete interior. And adding that extra pattern, that texture, really gives it a sense of dimension. And once I go in and start adding the once I start looking at this thing in the Rift, which I'm going to have to do pretty soon here because I'm reaching the limit of what I can do on the Quest as far as the processing power. But as you can see, there's quite a full interior here, and so the next step is going to be to just go in and assemble everything, and then put it on the Rift where I can start to generate some really nice images. I'll turn on my occupants too, so you can see how everyone fits in there. But you can see it's quite a dynamic driving environment. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next video where I'm going to start to complete the interior on the full-size pickup truck. So thanks for watching.